Hey, everybody. So we have UFC 309 this weekend, and it's going to be main evented by Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the UFC heavyweight championship. And it's a good fight. It's an interesting fight. I know a lot of people think Jones is just going to run through Stipe, and that's a possibility because Stipe is 42 years old at this point of his career. He's been out for 4 years, and the last time we saw him, he got absolutely obliterated by Francis Ngannou, which is absolutely a concern. But 4 years off, he's probably recovered from that damage. We don't know how much he's been training exactly. He's got his firefighter stuff going on that I'm sure he's busy with. But today at the media day, they did the pictures of them in their custom shorts, and Stipe did look in shape. So I think we're going to get the best possible version of Stipe at this point of his career. And with Jon Jones, he's also been out a while since that Cyril Gane fight. But in that Cyril Gane fight, he did look really slow and labored. He did look like he filled into heavyweight for sure, but he looked a lot slower than he used to be. The movement wasn't quite there. We didn't get to see how it would look in an extended fight because he quickly submitted Cyril Gane, but he did look a lot slower. And I don't think he's going to be able to submit Stipe as quickly. So I think we are going to have a lot of striking on the feet. And I think people who are assuming they know exactly how this is going to play out, people who just think Jones is going to run through Stipe, they're making a lot of assumptions. You're assuming that his striking is as good, as quick, as explosive as it was at light heavyweight. And I'm just not sure that's true. I think that from what the little bit I've seen of him at heavyweight, I think his striking won't be as great. I don't think he's going to be as explosive. Maybe he'll be a little bit more powerful with the extra mass, but I don't think that he's going to be himself. He used to be a lot quicker, a lot more dynamic, and I just don't know if that's going to be there for him. And if it's not, if I'm right, the striking exchanges should be pretty close. At range, yeah, Jon Jones, he's got the huge reach advantage, the really long legs. He uses the kicks really nicely. He knows how to maintain range. He's constantly hand fighting. That's why he's constantly poking his opponents in the face, in the eyes, because his hands are out like this so he can hand fight. And it is good, though. Hand fighting works. Just don't don't poke your opponent in the eyes and get points deducted. But the hand fighting should help him set up his combos, set up his counters, and kind of stifle the boxing of Stipe. Because I think boxing wise, Stipe is on Jon Jones's level. Now everything else, the kicks, the knees, no, that's all Jon Jones. The range is all Jon Jones, and he does a good job maintaining that range. But up close in the boxing range, I think Stipe is going to land some nice shots. I don't think he's going to knock out Jones. I definitely don't think that will happen. It's a possibility. It's MMA. Anything can happen, but I don't think it will happen, not at a high clip at least. But I do think he can make it competitive on the feet. And then people forget, Jon Jones, yeah, elite wrestler, elite takedown defense, but Stipe is also a good wrestler. He's a very good wrestler, and he's also always had pretty good takedown defense. He's not going to be a guy who's going to be easy to take down. I do think that Jones probably could get him down if he tries, but it might also gas him. And we don't know what Jon Jones's cardio is going to look like at heavyweight either. We know that Stipe could go long in a championship bout at heavyweight because that's where he's always been, and he's always had good cardio. But Jones, we don't know. So his cardio might not be as great, and maybe the wrestling will tire him out. But ultimately, I do think he could also get takedowns here. He will have the jiu-jitsu advantage by far. He's got the much slicker subs, than Stipe does. And yeah, so that's kind of how I see the ground game. And like I mentioned, Stipe is also a good offensive wrestler. He's got that in his pocket, but taking down Jon Jones is really hard. Even Daniel Cormier struggled to do so. He's really good at using his length to tripod, kind of stop it. He's got good hips, does everything right. And his takedown defense is just, I would say it's elite. So while Stipe is also a really good wrestler, and maybe he can mix that in, I don't think he's going to have much success. And maybe that'll gas him out too. So overall, the way I'm seeing this, Jon Jones, the more dynamic striker, much bigger arsenal of weapons on the feet. He's got more knees, kicks, elbows, all that good stuff. On the ground also, now he can finally do the 12-6 elbows. That's going to be available for him, and that's a big thing. And yeah, so that's where I'm at with the striking. And then with the grappling, like I said, both guys can wrestle. Don't see a ton of it happening, but if anyone is getting takedowns, I expect it to be Jon Jones. And then, like I said, good ground and pound, good 12-6 elbows that he can use finally and not get disqualified. And I think he can do some damage there. Like I mentioned, I don't think he's going to sub Stipe, but I think he's going to be the better man on the ground. So give the striking at range to Jones. I'll give the boxing to Stipe. I don't know who to give the power to. Both guys hit pretty hard. Right now I'd say it's about even. And then the grappling, offensive wrestling, I'd say is close, but the takedown defense of Jones is much better. So he's more likely to keep it on the feet than Stipe is. And then I give the jiu-jitsu advantage to Jones as well. So I do think Jon Jones will win, but minus 700, not much you can do with it. I think you could parlay it. At the end of the day, with me, I still think that even a minus 700 could be value if you can't think of a way for the other side to win. I try to game it out in my head, and I tried gaming it out, and I struggle to see how Stipe wins here. I think if he wins, it has to be a decision, and I struggle to see him winning all the minutes or the majority of the minutes over 25 against Jon Jones. So I don't really see a clear path for him. I can't game it out. So I guess you could parlay Jon Jones at minus 700. It's probably not worth the risk. It's not going to add much to your parlays, but if you really need a leg, that's one that you could probably do. And then once you get to the methods, it's a little tricky because the KO is like plus 130, the submission is like plus 200, and then the decision prop for him is like plus 400. So nothing really stands out as being underpriced. I lean knockout. Like if you're going to make me play a prop, I would play the knockout prop because he can do that on the feet and he can do that on the ground. And like I said, really good ground and pound, really good weapons on the feet, hits pretty hard. So that's available for him. I think if he wins this, it's probably by knockout. Now, the submission, I don't like it that much. I would have wanted a better price if I did it because while he's a good submission grappler, I just don't really see it working on Stipe here. Not how I see the fight playing out, at least. And then the decision, I think it's possible. I think a lot of people are kind of just writing Stipe off and saying he's done, he's done. Jones is going to run right through him. And I think there's a possibility that Jones can run through him. I don't think it's a super likely possibility. Even if a knockout happens, like I said, I think that's the most likely outcome. I think it happens a little bit later in the fight, not immediately. So I think the decision prop is a decent way to look at it. But out of those three, I would lean towards KO if you're looking for a method. And then in terms of the totals, the rounds, fight goes is like plus 500, plus four something. I don't have the numbers up right in front of me, but that's around where it's at. I don't hate it. I think it's like plus 5 or plus 600, but I don't hate it. Again, I think that Stipe is relatively durable. It took Francis Ngannou in like his prime to really put him out. And then DC did put him out too. So maybe he's not the most durable, but he's relatively durable. And then if there is grappling, that should kill some of the clock too. And Jon is also durable, so I don't really see Stipe knocking him out. So I don't hate that as a sprinkle. If you really want to take a long shot, I think fight goes to the decision isn't a bad way to do it. But I don't really want to do that. That's a little too nerve-wracking. The overs might be a decent way to play it. Maybe the over 1.5, over 2.5. I don't have the lines available, but I don't think those are too bad. So if you wanted to play something like that, if you maybe think Jon will win, but it won't be as easy as people make it out to be, then the overs might be what you're looking for. But for me, it's just so tricky because there's so many factors and we don't really know what Stipe will look like after 4 years off, and we don't know what Jon is going to look like after all this time off. So if you're going to bet this fight at all, just parlay Jon. Don't do it for a ton, but you can do that, and that's probably the best way to do it because I don't really love anything else about in terms of just odds for bets. But all right, guys, that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Good luck this weekend, and I'll see you next time.